Good morning on this windy day here, July 25th, 2023, up here at the Shuswap Community Teaching Garden. My name is Melanie. I'm with the Shuswap Food Action Society, and I'm here helping to grow this garden with our wonderful volunteers and community support that helps this garden to grow food that we produce and provide to the Second Harvest Food Bank and to our volunteers. So I want to just take a quick moment to always thank the volunteers who continue to come up. Today was Harvest Tuesday. We were able to take a lot of beautiful harvest down to Second Harvest, and that's really great. So thanks to Nan, who drives it down, and to our volunteers and all the kids that have been coming. So that's really great to see too. Tonight we have a movie screening of Kiss the Ground, all to do with regenerative agriculture and really focusing on soil health. And that's what we do here at this community garden as well. We are a no-till garden. It means we're not, ripping up the soil with all of the networks that develop underneath. We add, compost. We use wood chips. We're using straw, cardboard, things that actually help to build soil and to develop some really good relationships underneath the soil. And so today, we're taking some onions as they get nice and big and as their tips fall over. That's typically when you know that your onions are done their main growth. You'll see their tips fall over. And the rest that are still upright, you can leave them to continue to grow more of their bulb. Our beans, we did a good bean harvest. We've got some nice succession going, got some weeding to do, should you have some time to do that. And we have our winter squash are forming and developing. Now, if you see on your squash plants and you have nice formed, spaghetti squash or anything, you might think it's ready, but typically they're not ready until they're a fall crop. And though you can eat underripe squash, winter squash, it's up to you for preference. But if you want to know when they're ready, it's usually when they will have their stem will start to dry out and brown and harden. And that will, be the signal that the plant, that the fruit has set seed, it's ripe, it's done. It will now pull the sort of moisture from that, and it will then start to cure. The rest of the plant may still be having more squash that it wants to develop. But in our case here, we don't pick the squash until they're a good size and until we start seeing a little bit of dieback of the leaves and that we are seeing that the stems are actually starting to brown. So that is our winter squash. We've got corn growing. It's a decorative corn. So, that was a very late planting and we had the seeds and we had the row. So we kind of like, why not? It says it was a short maturity. Cantaloupe are growing slowly. We were able to harvest some nice cabbages out of here and pulled up some potatoes too that had come up on their own. So we had a nice little potato harvest. We have planted more beets and I can see that they have germinated. These rows were all of our winter brassica. And so this will be the next second harvest of broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages that will then sustain us through into August. We've got this really great bed of parsley and basil that we continue to get perpetual harvest from, which is really nice. And this sort of intermixing row is doing really well. We've got this beautiful rhubarb. Look at the color on those leaves. Very beautiful. Scarlet runner beans, there's some peas in there. So it's a very interesting mix of vegetables. We continue to have a lot of raspberries. So if you wanted to come up with a container, please do. We keep harvesting our celery. We pick away at the outer stems. Now this is a very robust celery. So it's, you're going to put it in your soups and stews. It's very strong, and there are different methods of ways to sort of contain celery so that it stays a little bit more blanched. We didn't do that here, and I think that would be a really good experiment for next year to see if we can keep a slightly more moisture content, a little less UV, and that might make them so that they're just that milder flavor that people are used to. We got in here under the net and we actually weeded really well. And this bed here, one of the tasks, should you wish, take the net off, and we cleaned up a lot of the leaves. Now we're actually leaving the cabbage here because cabbages will actually grow more small little cabbages. So as you can see here, we have 4 small heads forming, and that's from harvesting the main head, and it will develop new cabbage. Because we have the space, we can let this happen. If you have a small garden, you might not want to devote quite so much space to allow that, because they are really big. But we did pull away a lot of leaves, and if you were to really pick away the bottom leaves, you could have space underneath to plant some lettuce or something, so you could intercrop. So we need some fertilizer though on here. They need a little boost, and so we have kelp fertilizer, which helps the resilience of the plant. And so that could be sprinkled on. It's granular fertilizer. And you just mix it on, and you sort of just mix it into the soil, and every time it waters, it will take a little bit more. It's a higher potassium, so it's just really good for plants, almost like its immune system, its resilience. So that would be a very helpful task. Green onions and summer leeks, we're letting them grow a little bit more, but we can probably start harvesting those pretty soon. Our zucchini continue to be plagued by downy mildew, I believe, and so I'm going to be talking to Elmarie and Sue about, they might have to go, and you know what, there's always an abundance of zucchini, so I'm not sure if we're overly concerned. I continue to bring some from my own garden because I have too many as well. So the zucchini is a little bit hit or miss this year. The cucumbers, they also need, I would suggest that we probably need to get a fish fertilizer, but a liquid. And this needs a boost of nutrition too. Their color is not vibrant. Some people will say things like Epsom salts, magnesium it might be missing and lacking. So we'll look into that as well. Peppers, we're going to let them ripen up into their color. They should be orange or red. Tomatoes, we got lots forming, very few ripening, but they will. They're coming. The carrots, we did a really nice carrot harvest today, so we keep working on the very first rows, and then we keep allowing the rest of the carrots to grow and fatten up. Our kale has really done well. It's nice and healthy. It's not a lot of pest damage, which is nice. We keep picking up these beets, and we have more beets growing. The parsnips here, that's a long-term crop. You're not harvesting until September, even October. Salad turnips, we keep picking the biggest and let the other ones grow. The sprouting broccoli, you've got all these little shoots. That's the one that you harvest, and you just keep doing that, and it will just keep sending off shoots. This Swiss chard has been a little bit maybe over harvested, but we'll let that bounce back. We did some lettuce harvesting today as well. Cut and come again. So cutting it to about here, it's going to grow a lot in the center. This was probably cut a little bit too low. It didn't leave that much of the plant, and then it can't photosynthesize as much. The radish has been pretty good. So we pulled out a lot of our old flowering broccoli so that we can plant something else there. Lots of parsley blooming, so that will actually be really beneficial for pollinators. The dill we're letting go to seed so that we can have dill seed for pickles and flavoring of soups. And we've been pulling out the cilantro because cilantro is not the same. Once it starts to bolt, it is done. And so we do actually have more seeds planted and more cilantro growing. So succession planting with cilantro and greens. More raspberries, still lots of raspberries. Look at all those beautiful sunflowers. Elmarie, her garden is amazing. You should definitely come and check her out on Thursday evenings. Come up and have a tour of her beautiful permaculture garden. She's got some really interesting vegetables in there too. We did a big harvest of arugula today. It had been starting to flower, but the leaves were beautiful. The garden's looking great. Harvest Tuesdays, every Tuesday. We also have Jennifer here on Wednesdays. We have me here on Thursdays, and then we have alternating Saturdays and Sundays with Elmarie and Sue. Our calendar's on our website, www.shoeshopfood.ca, under projects and the community garden. Thanks to everybody who continues to help this garden to thrive. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see more people tonight at the movies.